All right, hello, my name is Dion D'Souza. I'm an international student in Lille, and I think you're probably going to be one too. Now, we've all heard of the dominance of the French language in France. In fact, that's one of the reasons why people are often intimidated to even come to the country to study or to live here, etc. And that is true. That is true. French is used in many aspects of social life, and it's particularly in France where you'd find that English is not really a language that people would be readily available to use. It's a language that is often used as a matter of inconvenience or as a matter of finally giving up because, you can't understand anything else. Now, but for an international student, it's a very different perspective. Now, let me tell you, after 9 months of living here, what I think. To address this specific question, you need to ask yourself at what level of integration are you actually trying to achieve when you're here? What is your intentions with this land altogether? Now, if you're here for a quick Erasmus 6 months, you're going to live here and then you're going to leave. Short answer is no, you don't really need it. Humans understand each other. You'll be able to get by. I don't think you'll create any French friends in particular. Or if you do, it's often a very superficial relationship. So good luck. What most likely is going to happen is that you're going to be around international students that speak English, and you're going to eventually gravitate. You're eventually going to gravitate towards what's familiar. That's inevitable. You will form a bubble around yourself. You just have to ask yourself, what kind of bubble am I going to form? Creating a bubble means that you'll be insulating yourself from the environment, that you would be sort of relegated to only speaking a certain language. The idea of actually integrating into a language is completely different. It's another ball game altogether. But the long answer is very different. If you indeed do want to learn the language, you have to decide at what level and where you'll be, and what are these different levels, and what are the things you'll be able to do in these levels. What are your circumstances in these levels? First level, survival. Survival is just about getting by. You need to know the greetings. You need to know how to greet someone. And when you enter a store, for example, or when you leave a store, these are basic greetings. These are going to be the interactions that you're going to have anyway if you're going to live here. You're going to have to say bonjour. You have to say bonsoir. You need to know when to say it. These are things, for example, getting something, ordering something at a restaurant, saying goodbye, saying excuse me, please, that you want something to introduce where you're from, etc., etc. This is something that you will be using most of the time, and something it's compulsory. You will learn it anyway. Next is mobility. Mobility is when you can sort of explain more than just, what's your name and where you're from, and that, je ne parle pas français. You can say more things. You can, for example, describe things like, oh, I would like, or I think that, or I think otherwise, or I don't think otherwise. You'd be able to understand and follow certain words in the conversation. You'd be able to sort of, with the context, get what people are saying. This is mobility where you won't be, for example, intimidated just by the fact of ordering something at a restaurant, asking for water, asking for toilets, asking for directions. You'd be able to get by. You're still not qualified or there enough where, you could probably make friends or, hold or maintain a conversation. This will just be a level where you could, if you needed to, get the words out, understand a little bit, won't be your primary objective. You'll feel very uncomfortable in social situations at this level. Third, you will be conversational. Third is conversational, where you can actually describe more of yourself. Now, the thing is, this is a very tricky place to be, and this will be the place that you'll be for the longest time. You think you understand, you think you can speak, but you really cannot describe the stories of your life. You're often identityless, storyless around people. You can follow conversations. You can understand everything. You can understand what's on the television. You can understand with more contextual cues most of what everyone has been saying. You can't reply. Or you can reply and the conversation be quite limited. You will be slow, but you can converse. This is when usually it gets to franglais, where the other person would probably speak in English with you or French with you, but with a mix of English. and conversations can easily happen. You will not feel perceived at this level. You will not feel like you can perceive other people at this level. You can just get glimpses of their personality. But this is a very nice place to be. Here's where you start receiving compliments. Tu parles bien français. Ouais, c'est incroyable. Things like that. You know, you feel rather comfortable, but very uncomfortable in social situations. Still. Here's where you'll have some idea of culture, which is not separated from the language. You should always think language and culture are one together. You will get more aspects of French humor and culture. Fourth is almost fluent. Now, this is a level where you can finally perceive people's personality. You can understand and you become a full person to people. This is where any social situation will not cause so much harm. You can speak, you can have friends even, and it will be excellent. You can understand the radio, you can understand YouTube videos, you can understand movies without subtitles. You'll be able to get by in an environment. At least you can disguise yourself really well. You can speak, but there'll be always traces of the fact that you're not fluent. This is enough to get a job. This is enough to sort of live out your life here. It's not yet mastery, which is another level altogether. Here's where you will be able to sort of, when you meet a person that speaks English, you don't tell them, oh, you speak really good English. You'll stop receiving compliments on your French. And this is the level that you must be aiming at if you ever want to live here long term. But this is essentially it as to how much French you need in France. There are 4 levels. You can aim for one of them and sort of stay there. Any of these levels will get you by easy. Living is a different thing. You don't need much. It just depends on how much you want to integrate here. And yes, that'll be all.